Hey everyone, I'm Marco and in this video I will teach you how to draw. I will show you how to draw animals, humans and then anime characters. So first I will teach you about the basics and therefore explain the 4 most important topics of drawing and capturing anything accurately. After that we will draw the examples. I'd also like to say that this video is a pretty long and detailed one, so feel free to take breaks and watch it multiple times as needed. Let's get into it. Now, to start from the very bottom, if you're a beginner, this is essential. You gotta get comfortable drawing boxes, cylinders and circles. This will challenge your hand-eye coordination and how well you can line them up. This is all about control, and do them quick. Don't undo or erase, it doesn't have to be perfect. Now try to draw a small circle using your fingers, wrist, entire arm, your shoulder. This way we are testing different parts of our arm. Then I want you to try to do them in perspective. It's a little bit challenging, you just have to get the angles correct. Here is a great exercise for practicing your lines. Don't do them slow or too fast. Just do them with the right amount of speed, with confidence. Like this. Just get comfortable drawing these shapes. If you're a beginner, you can do these exercises every time before you start drawing as a simple warm-up. With that out of the way, I want to talk about the 4 most important topics of how to draw. Simplification, finding relationships, angles and negative space. I will explain these now. Here is a portrait and the first theme is simplification. You wanna find the overarching shape that contains all the details and elements inside. So this is simplification, finding that big shape. What are we looking for on this lion? We are looking for this overarching bounding shape, and inside of this shape we are gonna find more details. For example, the leg, the belly, and yeah. I'm always viewing things in this way when I draw. My brain is trying to simplify what's in front of me. It would be very hard to start from the eye and trying to find all of these details. For beginners, you don't want to start your drawings like this. Second theme is relationships. For example, some of the most common relationships are the lengths between the forehead, nose and the chin. They are usually equal, as well as the length of the eyes versus the space between them is usually equal. When you pay attention to these things between all of these facial features, that's when you're able to capture the likeness of a person. I can also look for the wrist and its relationship to the elbow, so I know the slant of the forearm. You can also look for the smaller relationships, like the inner corner of the eye versus the corner of the mouth. And you can see that it's not a perfect vertical line. The mouth comes back a little bit. You can look for these relationships everywhere. The next thing we want to pay attention to when we're drawing is angles, and this can apply to relationships and simplification, so all of these are connected. Angles are quite simple. If you look at this reference, for example, there are a couple of key angles that we have to pay attention to, like the angle of this line, the slope of the head, the angle of the back. You can also find it here for the back leg and the front leg. These angles are very important. They get even more important when you start incorporating perspective, for example, a box. If you get the angle wrong on the perspective, then the box is gonna look very off, so you have to get the angles correct. And last but not least, we've got negative space. So whenever you have a subject, this horse for example, this subject is gonna take this amount of space in your frame. And this is the positive space. Whatever is behind is negative space. Let's say you're trying to draw something complex, like the hip bone of this skeleton. It's gonna be difficult to capture this accurately without paying any attention to the negative space. And once you start paying attention to that, you're essentially getting another set of references for the accuracy of the drawing. So these 4 topics for me are the cornerstones of how to draw. If you're drawing on Procreate like me, then I'm gonna give you my sketching brush I made, because it is so easy to use, especially for drawing characters. So go to inking, duplicate, and tap on Gazinski ink and follow these settings. And there you have it. Alright, now let's start with the easiest example where I can demonstrate all 4 concepts. So whenever I wanna draw something, the first thing I think about is how do I break this down. And for this lion, we're looking for this overarching bounding shape that contains its entire form, like this. Some of the things I'm paying attention to are these angles, the slant of the back leg, the slant of the front, things like that. Now we can start looking for some relationships within this shape. The purpose of finding these relationships is all about anchoring these shapes within your subject. So I'm gonna try to anchor this front leg here, and I can determine that from the back leg to the front, the back of this front leg should be placed there, and then this line goes up like that, which is the back of that front leg. Now we can look for more anchor points, like here, for the shape of this belly. From there we can find this round shape of the head. We're gonna try to determine how much space it takes up within this kind of bounding box. And right here should be where the bottom of the neck or fur is. Erase and find these relationships as you go. Now you can erase these lines and put some detail like the fur. For the back leg it comes down like this. And you can go outside of your bounding box if you think it makes your drawing more accurate, because we don't always get that shape right. Okay, so now this is where negative space comes into play. We've been using angles and trying to find relationships between all of these elements, but this is how negative space gets really useful. So look for negative space between the two back legs. It forms a shape like that. Let's draw it. So now I'm gonna find this leg. This is the ankle of the other leg, and the front legs kinda look like that. Let's start working on the head and neck area. Just look for relationships like here, from tip of the ear down at the bottom of the nose, and we can put a line here to get this triangular shape. There you go. I've never drawn a line before, but by following these simple methods, looking to simplify the overall shape, relationships between overall shapes, looking for the angle that you find on the back, face, chin, etc., and checking for accuracy of your drawing by using negative space. All of this, you too can draw wherever you want. Let's do this horse real quick. I will show you how most artists draw so quick and accurate. It's all about how you place your brush strokes, thin line and a thick line. Just draw guidelines with thin lines like that, and on top of them put darker lines. You gotta keep in mind the distance or relationships between all of the lines. and that's it. Now let's apply the same concepts to a portrait. The first thing I wanna do is simplify. Okay, draw a round oval, draw the center line of the face. Bring a line down at a slight angle, and this is going to give us the side of the face. Then we're just gonna kind of cut the shape for the jaw just like that. At the end of the chin we're going to cut that off. There's no way to be able to draw this completely accurately right off the bat, so it doesn't have to be perfect. What we have on the screen right now is just meant to give you an idea of where things are supposed to go. Let's find the angle of the neck, how it goes down like that. It's important to always pay attention to where the neck is in relation to the jaw. Now we have a pretty good base for this portrait. Divide the center line in half, and this is the eye line. Now that we have the eye line and the center line, next look for the line that runs through the eyebrows. As soon as you have this, everything else is so easy. So from this point where the brow line intersects with the center line to the tip of the chin, around the halfway here, that should be where the bottom of the nose is gonna be. There are 3/3 on the face. Of course, remember there's exceptions to every rule. There are some people with massive foreheads like KSI, so it might not apply perfectly to everyone, but it's a good starting point. Some people might have longer chins or noses, but you just kind of make those adjustments as you go through the process of drawing a person to capture the likeness. We have all the guidelines now. Let's start by drawing the eyes. So just find the distance between the inner corner of the eyes to the center line. This will tell me where the eyes start, and because our face is full of beautiful measurements, the eyes are going to be equal length to the distance between the eyes. But again, there are exceptions to every rule. When I draw eyes, the first thing I look for is the top lid. Draw both eyes at the same time. Draw the iris, one right there, and lightly draw the bottom lid. Okay, now find the angle of the eyebrow. We're going to draw the tips of the eyebrows like that. We're gonna draw the shape that we see. Don't treat it as hairs, treat it as shape. Add the double eyelids beneath those eyebrows. The very tip of the eyebrow, we're going to get the shape of the nose. Draw the shapes of the tip of the nose, and the nostrils should probably look something like that. If you don't know where to put them, just look for relationships. Look for inner corner of the eye, outer edge of the nose. See where they are in relation to each other. Let's find the mouth now, and it's quite simple. Once you have the nose and the chin, look for relationships. Just above the halfway point is where the mouth is gonna be. Above the lip you're gonna see a little V, and that's gonna indicate us the upper lip. Mark down where the bottom of the lip is, and this is all you need for lips. Now this next step is called refinement. We are basically finalizing the look of the character. There is the top of the hair and it comes down like that. If you're confused of how to draw hair because you see so many details, just treat it as this big overall shape instead of individual strands. This is called perfectionist feeling, where you think you have to draw so much detail. I get perfectionist feeling when I paint, and it's annoying, but if you keep training your mind to always simplify, the easier art is gonna be, especially for beginners. Now you can see as soon as we add the hair, the likeness starts to emerge and everything starts coming together. Erase the guidelines and that's it. If something looks off, just liquefy or flip the canvas. Let me show you another example applying everything we learned. First thing I'm gonna do is find an anchor point because we're drawing a pose. So we're gonna draw the simplified shape for the head. Find the eye line and that shows me the tilt of the head. There's the neck. One of the important things in this reference is the angle of the back. So his back is angled slightly like so. There is the line for the shoulders. Now you need to have some understanding of human anatomy to be able to use X-ray vision to see the shoulders. I can see that the shoulder is perfectly placed beneath the head. So here is where you're gonna find it. You're looking for that relationship. Draw simple shapes for hands and a line for the sword. The fingers are gonna be there just like so. There is the hand gripping the sword. Start adding some of the details. Find where the sword ends. And this is where top of the hair is. Then it goes down like that. Look for relationships between the hair and shoulder like that. Let's draw a simple shape for the sword and check for the accuracy using negative space. Does this negative space matches? And for me it does. Look for more relationships and draw these simple shapes to determine where the shape of the hood is, and I think this is accurate. Remember that if you've made a mistake, you can fix it using Liquify. That is the shape of the hair. Keep adding simple guidelines so you draw faster, because they are just a placeholder for refinement stage later. They are the shapes for the other hand. Now we have a very accurate read on this pose, so let's refine the drawing and start adding smaller details. There's the angle of the eyebrows, there's the nose, upper eyelids, add a few lines to indicate the old, weathered look on the face. That's the beard, and yeah, you can work on this as much as you want. For our final example, I will show you how to draw an anime character quick and easy. Before we start, I just wanna mention that if you want more control over any of your brushes, then just go to settings, press on stabilization, and see what works for you. Let's start. This is how I like to draw anime the fastest way I learned. Draw a circle which will tell us the placement of the head. These lines are just a placeholder that tell us where everything is supposed to go. There are no art rules, these are just guidelines. You don't even need to draw like me, because everybody is different, so find what works for you. How do you like to draw? This is step 1. Now let's start from the knee and try to outline the body to speed up the process like this. Therefore I would take my black pen and finish the drawing. Your lines don't have to be perfectly the same as you see it in the reference. Since the face in this reference is small, it is easier for us to draw it. I'm not gonna draw all the guidelines like I did for previous examples, because now you know exactly what to look for. Imagine them. Pay attention how these lines curve for the hair. Look for relationships between the eyes and the rest of the face. Where do they start and where do they end? Like that. Your drawing does not have to look 100% the same as you see it in the reference. So stay away from the perfectionist feeling unless that's what you're aiming for. Drawing does not have to be hard at all. It's all about your mindset. If you think that this is hard or complicated, then it will be. But if you think that this is nothing, like it's just a simple sketch and you can always do better, the better artist you'll be. And look how easy was that. I'm just gonna finish this up. This is how to draw. This is how most artists are thinking when they are looking for relationships between the lines and things they can find and use to be able to draw something accurately. Also, the more you practice drawing every day for at least 10 to 30 minutes, the better artist you'll get. Just like with anything in life, practice makes perfect. Being an artist is all about creativity, so have fun on your art journey. Anyways, I hope I taught you how to draw. If you'd maybe like to support me, then drop a like and subscribe so the video reaches more people. Alright, I'm done. I will go away now. Peace.